Lucy and I had requested some difficult symptoms that you might have come across to repertorize or short cases that you might want to share so we could do a case. I do want to preface that by saying that, Lucy and I are not in any way trying to analyze cases for you, your cases. I mean, thank you for the ones you have submitted. But we are not trying to analyze those cases and tell you, this is the remedy you should try. We're just going to use the case to show you how the software can be a tool to help you analyze those cases. And, there are as many ways to analyze as there are homeopaths out there. So the way that we do it today, or the symptoms that we pick from the case to repertorize, may not be the way you or any other homeopath might do it. So just keep that in mind. And we're really excited. We thank you for submitting. Thank you to all those who submitted. We did get a good selection of cases, and we're going to try and see how many we get through, but we're thinking at least one each. And then if we have time for more, we'll do more. I think Lucy might have two, and I have one kind of bigger one and one shorter one. So we'll start with those. If you have any questions, I think we're a smaller group today, so feel free to put things in chat during the course of the presentation, or in Q&A, and we'll try. We thought that we would take questions at the end of each case instead of waiting all the way to the end. And Manon says, I would like to know how to repertorize circular arguments. So Manon, if you wouldn't mind typing an example of what you mean by that, then we'll be happy to take it up. And with that, I welcome you all, and let's get started.
All right, so I will start sharing Synergy Homeopathic software right here. I'm also going to show you the case that I'm going to cover first so that you can see what I'm working with here. We got, okay, so we got this case here, and basically it is extremely sort of allopathic. It's got the medical diagnoses. For instance, the high TSH is like hyperthyroidism. I had to look up high ALT, that's liver dysfunction, and so on, high cholesterol. And so I'm gonna show you how I approach this. And again, as Roopali said, people can work cases in so many different ways, but this is kind of how I approached it. So let's take the first symptom, high hyperthyroid. Well, I'm gonna come over here to my repertories. And I happen to know that Murphy's has a lot of clinical diagnosis type of rubrics. And so I immediately went to Murphy's. You get to know your repertories. And when I'm faced with some sort of clinical diagnosis, Murphy's is one place that I go. And I did find under the G for glands, because the thyroid is a gland. So I'm going to go down to glands, and to navigate this, you can see, well, where are the remedies? Well, you see the plus sign. The way Murphy's works is you have to go into the chapters. And so I'm going to hit my right directional arrow. And it comes up here, and I'm going to type GLA on my keyboard in order to find, I'm sorry, I'm in glands. I'm already in glands, so I don't have to type glands. What I have to type now is HYPE, just 3 or 4 letters on your keyboard in order to, let me make sure that okay, why isn't it doing it? I found it last night, and it's, okay, hold on 1 second here. Okay. General. Hold on, did I write that wrong? I might have written it wrong. Here we go. Here we go. I wrote it down on my paper wrong. You have to, okay, so here we have thyroid gland, general, but I'm going, you see it has a plus sign next to it. So I'm going to hit the right directional arrow. And from here, I'm going to go into hyper, HYP. There we are, hyperthyroid. All right, and it's right there. And so you can see over here on the left side, I've got clipboard number 2 active and ready to go. And so I'm going to just hit the return key to put this rubric from Murphy's onto clipboard number 2. Now I know that the Reliable also has this information, so I just want to show you, I'm not quite sure where to find it. And so here's where global search comes into play. I am just going to type in hyperthyroid. Actually, I'm just going to type in thyroid. All right, and that's coming up. And throat internal, let's see, thyroid stimulating hormone. It's actually under generalities. I had written that down last night, and here we are. So generalities, glands, location of glandular affection, thyroid. So I can select that. All right, and so I put that in, and that's something that we can actually go back in and combine once we're in the clipboard. I'll show you that when we get back there. So here's my case again, and we have the liver problem. And when I looked this up, a high ALT can actually relate to damage due to hepatitis or infection or cirrhosis, cancer, any other liver disease. And just to show off another repertory here, I'm going to go back into my repertories. And I found the repertory last night. Isa Yaga's repertory also has a lot of clinical diagnoses. And so I'm going to go into that one. And I'm going to go into the, hepatic. This is for the liver. And you can see cirrhosis of the liver. Now, I'm actually gonna, biliary cirrhosis. I'm gonna open this up and I'm gonna actually go backward by hitting the left arrow, and I'm going to go to cirrhosis of the liver and open this up. Sorry, last night I was finding things, just one second here. I'm going to go back to hepatic for just a moment. And okay. Yeah, cirrhosis of the liver is there, but it's a small rubric. I'm going to go ahead and add that to my clipboard, and then I'm going to go into the, I'm going to go ahead and search cirrhosis up here so I can find it very easily. And the thing about this is, it's good to put modalities. You know, here we have cirrhosis also, and I'm going to go into subrubrics of it in the Reliable. Oh, to get to the, okay, let me show you how to navigate from here. So I went into global search. You can see from the magnifying glass, I'm in global search. And you see that this rubric has subrubrics. In order to see those subrubrics, I'm simply going to double click to get myself to repertory module. And that way I can navigate further into subrubrics. All right, and so here I am, and I'm going to hit the right directional arrow. And then you can see you've got some subrubrics. They're kind of small rubrics. So I'm actually going to go back, and I'm just going to pick up the big rubric here. But my point is with the modalities that, and I was trying to find it again. I thought it was in Yaga's. Sorry guys, I was up doing this last night, and For some reason, I'm not seeing the same things I saw. Now, this is what I saw. This is what I saw before. Oh, biliary. Okay, it was under biliary. I had to go further. So let me go back here. I want to show you how you find this in the repertory module. I apologize for going back and forth like this, but I'm going to go back to my, and you can search for a repertory by typing it in the type to search. There we are. Here we are again with hepatic, going into biliary cirrhosis. All right. And so here we are. So we've got the cirrhosis up here, but again, with the modalities, you know, as homeopaths, we look at modalities, we look at all the concomitants that are going along with this liver problem. Perhaps the person is vomiting blood, you know, perhaps the mouth is dry. And so instead of simply taking a large rubric about cirrhosis, you want to look at the rest of the case and see what's going on along with the cirrhosis, the eye dryness maybe, or maybe the face is yellow. And so this is where you go into the sub-rubrics and you drill down to more detail on your specific case. So, and the way you do that, again, I'll show you. I'm in this repertory and the hepatic chapter, biliary cirrhosis. So everything underneath in this right pane is related to the cirrhosis. And in order to get back out of this, you simply hit the left directional arrow and you're back at the main biliary cirrhosis rubric. However, you can see there are no remedies in it. And what that means is that you do have to hit the right directional arrow to, the program basically makes you go further into detail. They want you to take more than just cirrhosis. So depending on your case, you know, I'll go ahead and put one on the clip.
Can I interrupt?
Yes, yes.
People are asking if you can just slow down a little bit.
Okay, all right.
And their question is, what did you double click on to get to the repertory?
Okay, let me show that again, and I'll try to go slower. Sorry. All right, so I had up here in global search, I had searched the word cirrhosis. And when I did that, and you can search in global search anywhere you are in the program, pretty much. I mean, I think over here in channels, you're not able to access it, but pretty much everywhere else in the program you can. So when you activate a global search, it automatically takes you to the global search module, which is this magnifying glass. So I'm going to go ahead and get back in there, and it's going to take me right back where I was before. Once you do a global search, you can go back and forth and it doesn't go away. So here I was in global search after I had found cirrhosis in all of these books. In global search, cirrhosis can be found. This is my result here for repertories. So you have cirrhosis in the reliable and the complete in all of these books that you see on the left side. And I had chosen Isayaga's repertory. And that information on cirrhosis, according to your search result here on the left, is in the hepatic chapter of Isayaga's repertory. And so here I am. And so in global search, you see it's showing this main rubric, but it's also showing the sub-rubrics. And from global search, you can jump back to the repertory by double clicking any one of these. And if I double click this main one here, which I'm going to do now, you'll see I'm going to double click in global search. And now I'm back in repertory module at this rubric that I had double clicked in global search. And it's a rubric that has sub-rubrics, and they were showing in global search. To get to the sub-rubrics in the repertory module, I'm going to hit my right directional arrow. Anything that has a plus sign next to it in repertory module, that means it has sub-rubrics. And so I'm going to hit my right directional arrow. And now you see the name biliary cirrhosis has popped up to the breadcrumb string. So you know that you're looking at sub-rubrics of this cirrhosis below in the right pane. And that's where you need to, know your case, and you have to know what modalities, what concomitant kind of things are going along with the cirrhosis, so that you can add the best detail possible to your clipboard. Because if you remember, we did add a cirrhosis rubric. I'm going to go ahead and open up the clipboard and I'm going to show you. So we did add from the reliable, we found this very, big and non-detailed abdomen cirrhosis of the liver. We did add this to the clipboard, but, and here we put this one. I'm going to go ahead and remove this one because this one again is vague, and we're going to pick one of the ones that go below the biliary cirrhosis that we'll pretend goes best with our case. We're kind of making stuff up at this point as far as the case goes, because the only detail I had was the hyperthyroidism, the high ALT. Okay, and so to delete a rubric from your clipboard, you highlight it and you hit, on a Mac computer, you hit Command Delete. And that makes it go away because we're going to go get one that has better detail. And on a Windows computer, you simply have to highlight and hit delete. So if you're on Windows, you don't have to hit Control Delete. You have to just hit delete if you're trying to. And then there's other ways you can delete a rubric. You can right click it and hit delete this way. I find it easier to use the keyboard shortcuts. But you can, if you're a person who likes to use the right clicks, you can also right click a rubric and delete it this way. All right, that was just a little aside on that. But let's go back to Yaga. Here we are again in the biliary cirrhosis large rubric, the sub-rubrics underneath. And let's say that face discoloration, that with the cirrhosis, with this high ALT, the person also has a yellow face. And so we're going to add that to the clipboard. We're going to hit return key, enter if you're on a Windows computer. And this went from a 3 to a 4. I'm going to open it up so you'll see that's on there now. Okay, any questions? I hope I'm going slow enough.
Lucy?
Yes.
There are a couple of questions about repertories. One, was there a specific reason you chose Yaga? And also, are there other repertories that are better to use when you have more clinical diagnoses or symptoms?
There are, yeah. And that's one reason I chose Yaga's repertory, because his repertory, let me go to the main chapters here. They tend to be very medical. His chapters are very medical. So the hepatic you saw has medical diagnosis language in it, like cirrhosis, a lot of it. Go to, I don't know, musculoskeletal, we'll pick another chapter. Lupus is mentioned. Now, there are other repertories. So this is sort of a little advertisement for Yaga, but there's certainly other ones. Right now, I have EIZ in my type to search. So that's the only repertory you see in my list currently. To get all my repertories back, I'm going to hit the X on the type to search, and now all the rest of them are back. I know that in the complete repertory, if you open up the chapters, the complete repertory does have a chapter called clinical. And so that's another, here, you can actually also find clinical. You have to just explore your repertories that you have in your library and, figure out what each one has. The reliable doesn't have a clinical chapter. There's no clinical chapter, but as you saw, I was able to find cirrhosis within the reliable repertory too, by searching that word up here. So if you're ever not sure, like, does this repertory that I happen to really like using have cirrhosis in it? You don't have to guess. You don't have to get frustrated by going through chapters trying to find it, you can simply go put the word in global search and activate the search by, hitting the search icon over here, or return on your keyboard, enter if you're on a Windows computer. And then that takes you, once you activate that search, that does take you to global search. And the result is all here. So you can see all of these books actually have the word cirrhosis in them. Maybe you like Bunninghausen's Repertory. And so there you can look. This only has 6, so that's limited. You may not want to choose that one. So Photox is a good repertory to use, but again, somewhat limited, only 7. If you like using Photox, though, you can certainly put that on you can select it and add it to your clipboard. I just added it to the clipboard. And then you can combine, which I'll show you, combine the, you can combine rubrics so that, and that's the thing about a lot of cases. You maybe don't find the one rubric per symptom. You kind of gather some rubrics to make a complete symptom, and then you can combine them on your clipboard. All right, and so let's look at another symptom from this case, because I don't want to take up too much more time on this one. So low B12 and hemoglobin. So I had to look it up, and low B12, there's symptoms that go along with that. And so as a physician, you probably already know what those are. I'm not a physician, and so I had to look it up, and you get all kinds of symptoms with low B12. You get skin discoloration, you get yellow or pale skin, you get weakness, fainting. And so, then you just go to your repertory. So for instance, I'm going to go back to the repertory module by clicking on the closed book icon. And let's say that this person has the low B12. They've tested on a blood test and it's showing that. And the way it's presenting for this person is that they are fainting. So in Reliable Repertory, I'm going to go to the general chapter. So on my left pane here, I just scroll down to generalities, and I'm going to click generalities. And then once I'm in generalities, you can see I'm in that here, generalities. It's up here in the breadcrumb string. And on my keyboard, not in a type to search window, just on my keyboard, I'm going to type FAI. So I want to pop down to the fainting and faintness rubric. And so I'm going to go ahead and add that to my clipboard. And I see the 5 turned to a 6 over here on clipboard number 2. So I know it went on. That's good. I also just want to show you when you have cross references turned on, which I currently do, you can, let's say that you don't quite like the rubric that you found. You can go see here, for instance, generalities, weakness. You could go to weakness if the person is more weak than faint. Maybe they're both. You can choose both. You can look at some of the other choices. And the way I would get to this is simply click on this cross-reference. So I'm going to click on the cross-reference. And now I'm taken to the weakness. It's a huge rubric. And as you see, it has sub-rubrics. So you could go further in by hitting the right directional arrow. You know that there's sub-rubrics. I'm going to hit the right directional arrow.
Lucy?
Yes.
Could you show one more time how to turn on cross-references?
Oh, of course. The way you change your view in Repertory module, actually on any of the modules, you can do this in the clipboard as well. This icon that looks like an eye, and you can see when I hover my mouse on it, it says the change view settings. So I just click it. Right now I've got all the remedies showing. I'll actually turn those off because that makes navigation a little bit easier. To do that, you simply hit no remedies. And I've got no sub-rubrics showing because I prefer to navigate. If you turn on sub-rubrics, you won't have to navigate with the left and right arrows. But to me, the navigation is much smoother by using the arrows. So I keep subrubrics turned off. I don't have authors showing. You can choose to have your authors showing if you want. This is where you turn on your cross-references. And I also like to have my remedy count showing. So I have that checked. So once you're all set here and you get the view that you want, you hit OK. All right. So let's go back to the case. Let's look at it real fast. I'll try to wrap this up. Extreme anxiety with dust and noise. Okay, so the extreme anxiety with noise was easy to find. I simply went to, so I went back to my Repertory. I'm in Repertory module. And just for fun, let's use a different Repertory. I'll go into my Complete 18. And again, I want to show you that you can put multiple repertories on one clipboard, which you'll see when we get to the clipboard. So mind, we want to go to the mind chapter because anxiety is in the mind chapter. And I'm actually going to open up the chapters. You can navigate the chapters either way. Either way, it's a very flexible program. You can either navigate here on the left side, or you can go back to the main icon of the photos and navigate to chapters that way. I find it's kind of easier once you're in the book to navigate to the various chapters by opening up your chapters in the left pane. But here we are, Complete 2018 in the mind chapter. And I'm going to type ANX on my keyboard, which takes me straight to anxiety. You can see that it has subrubrics. It has the plus next to it. You can see that it's a huge 951 remedies. So I'm going to try to hone it down because remember, we're talking about dust, we're talking about noise. So I'm going to hit the right directional arrow. And so now I'm going to look for noise. I'm going to type NOI on my keyboard. There it is. So I'm going to go ahead and hit return, and my rubrics in my clipboard went from 6 to 7. I'm looking at my cross references, and the case said extreme anxiety from noise and dust. We'll get to the dust in a minute. But the extreme anxiety could also, be fear. So you might want to choose the fear. Here we have sensitive with anxiety. So I'm going to go ahead and choose both of these. So that one has fear. So now you see you jumped to fear. You're in fear, not anxiety, up here in the breadcrumb string, if you can see my mouse. And here's fear from noise. I'm going to hit that, and it made my rubrics in the clipboard go to 8. And then I really liked the one from before, which I'm going to get to by going. I'm going to go back to mind. I can't quite remember where that one was, so I'm going to go look at that cross-reference again. I'm going to go back to anxiety in mind. Okay, go back into my sub-rubrics because I'm remembering a cross-reference that I wanted. I'm going to go back to noise. All right, this one. Okay, so mind, anxiety, sensitive, oversensitive to noise with anxiety. I'm going to go ahead and click that to find it. And it's only one. Okay, so it's one remedy there. But I'll go ahead and take it. I can combine it on my clipboard. Now, the dust. All right, let's go back to mind. Let's go back to mind. And let's go back to anxiety. So I'm back in mind. You can see I'm in mind. You can see the breadcrumb string. I'm in mind. And I'm where sensitive, oversensitive, but I want to go back to anxiety. So I'm going to type ANX on my keyboard. ANX. And you have to hit enter. Whoops. Okay, there we are. All right. Actually, you don't have to hit enter. Sorry. All right. And so ANX. Now, I am going to go back into the subrubrics with my right directional arrow, and I'm just going to try dust, just for the heck of it. Dust. Okay, it's not there. So that didn't surprise me. So, you know what you might have to do for dust? First, there are a couple of things. You can go up here to the here's what I would do since I can't really find it where I think it might be or where I want it to be. I'm going to type dust up here and activate a search. Now, I have one search going. If I want to keep that search to activate a search in a new tab, I click on the plus sign. You see where my mouse is hovering? It says open in a new tab. I'm going to click that. And it's going to take me, again, I'm popped down now to global search because I just activated a search. And I'm looking and I say, okay, none of these in mind really apply. Dust. I'm looking in the chapters where it might be. And so, I'm going to go down to generalities. Dust aggravates. I mean, because if you think about it, and somebody else might do a completely different thing from what I'm doing, but I'm thinking about this and I'm thinking, well, if you have extreme anxiety about dust, it probably aggravates you on a physical level as well. I could be wrong. People may disagree with me here, but I'm going to take this one to my clipboard. So I'm going to go ahead and take that to my clipboard, turned 10 to 11. So I know it went on my clipboard. All right. And we have one last thing here. Severe dryness. Well, I mean, dryness where? This has to be honed down. So is it dry mucosal membrane? Is it dry skin? Is it dry eyes? If it's dryness all over, we can go to, let's go back to repertories with the repertory module here. And I'm going to go back to the reliable because I love the reliable. And I'm just going to go to, let's pretend, because we don't know, let's pretend that it's skin, dry skin, or let's pretend it's general dryness. And so we can go into generalities, and we're going to go to dryness, D-R-Y. I'm typing on my keyboard. Let me try that again. And I'm actually going to get down past the, you notice how repertories are set up where you've got your time modalities up top, and then down below, you've got modalities that start alphabetically all over again. Sometimes I just get my cursor down there and I'm putting in dryness. There we are. Dry sensation, we got dryness. Dry sensation, it's more than a sensation though. So yeah, where did I find that last night? General, oh, you know what I found last night? Dust, there it is. No, we're on dry again. Sorry, we're on dry. Sorry, I'm getting confused.
Lucy,
okay. Yes.
Just two quick questions.
Okay.
One, can you show the different ways you can take a rubric and put it into the clipboard?
Oh, of course. Yes,
right?
I always do it the one way.
Yeah, I know, but there are other ways, and so it'd be nice to show all.
There are other ways, so I will show.
And then the other question is, can we see, if you have something that works, can we see how to combine rubrics?
Oh, absolutely. I was going to do that. As soon as I get this dryness rubric, I'm just going to go to skin and grab a dryness rubric because I know I'm taking more time than I need to here. So I'm going to go just to skin I'm clicking on skin. Here we go. And I'm just going to go to dryness. We're going to say it's dryness of the skin. So what I did was I typed DRY on my keyboard in skin. And it's not going there. Let me just get my mouse there. Okay, it's being a little bit, it's thinking, it's got the wheels. There it is. All right. All right, so dry, we're just going to go ahead and take that so I can get to my clipboard. All right, so let's go to the clipboard. And we want to combine a few of these, okay? Because, we took multiples from multiple repertories, meaning the same thing. So here we have the different thyroid rubrics. I'm going to highlight those. In order to highlight more than one, you hold down the Command key. If you're on a Mac computer, it's the Control key if you're on a Windows computer. So here we have these two thyroid rubrics selected. Now I'm going to go up to this icon here, and do you see where I've hovered my mouse and it says make a group? So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to say hyperthyroid. You can name it anything you want. It's your choice. And you hit OK. Oh, I meant to show you how to get a rubric onto a clipboard by dragging it. Let me do that real fast. Sorry about that. All right, what we can do is go into this dry rubric here by hitting the right directional arrow. And my program is hanging out just a little bit. There we go. Okay, here we go. Sometimes you have to unhighlight, then highlight again if it's, doing that. But you can see that it's dry up here. And let's say it's dry, it's burning dry. It's dry and burning. So you see this right here, I've highlighted it. I'm going to click, hold, and drag. And I'm going to put it, hover my mouse on clipboard number 2. And there you see it went from 11 to 12. So the rubric went on to clipboard number 2. And there we have it right there. We can go ahead and combine this if you want to. Again, it's up to you as to what you want to combine. I'll go ahead and combine some of these liver, because remember this, one of them, and this anxiety, the noise anxiety, actually we'll combine that because there's only one remedy in this one rubric here. But anyway, I'm just combining, and again, to combine, you highlight them all, and you have to hold down the command key or the control key to highlight more than one. And I'm going to click this again, and I'm going to say hi, ALT. We're going to go along with our case. There we are. Again, you can name it whatever you want. And actually, if you decide you want a different name, you can hover your mouse on the rubric, the combined rubric name, right click, and that's how you either ungroup. If you want to pull them apart again, you can edit your group name if you decide you don't want that name. So you can edit or ungroup. You can delete, copy. That's how you do that. All right, and then we'll combine. And I'm highlighting. And I'm coming up here. And I'm going to say anxiety, noise. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. And so, again, you can combine, every homeopath is going to work differently. Now, once you've finished with your clipboard, and again, here's the eye, here's the view on the clipboard. If you wanted to see all the remedies in the rubric, you can change that view here. Personally, I think it just kind of clogs up the clipboard, so I choose to keep it off here. And so then you've got your result, and so then you have to look at what remedies have come up, and you can, let's say that you thinking further about your case, you've already thought about, I don't know, chelidonium and arsenicum. I'm just throwing that out there. I want to show you how you can filter for a few of the ones that have come up so that you can see them side by side. In order to do that, you go to this filter and you go to remedy. You can filter for kingdoms too, but I'm just right now showing you how to filter for just a few remedies that you want to see side by side. And so what did I say? I said arsenicum. You type it in the type to search window, hit return, and then you find it in the choices that come up. Now, don't hit apply. This is where people get a little bit confused. You want to choose all the remedies that you want to see side by side first before you hit apply. So you've found arsenicum. Now I'm going to go find chelidonium. I hit the X on the type to search. I'm going to find the chelidonium. There we go. Check that. All right. Let's say you also want to see, I don't know, silica. And again, I'm just throwing things out. I'm not doing any sort of analysis. Those remedies might never go together, but I'm just for the sake of time, I'm not thinking too hard about it. So I've checked those three, and I'm going to hit apply, and you'll see what happens. So now you're looking at those three side by side, so you can kind of hone in on them. Another way you can, research a little bit is you can right click on any one of these. You can go back to, by the way, go back to your main graph by clicking on this red icon that removes a filter. You can see clear the applied filter. Click on that. And you're taken back to your main graph. All right, and you can then look at any one of these in the reference library. You simply hover your mouse on the remedy name, you right click, and on a Mac computer, a right click is hold the control key down as you click. And then you get this message, and then you want to click, view it in the reference library. I'll show you what happens when you do that. You click on that, and it takes you to reference library. It takes you to that remedy, arsenicum. And you can see, oh, it landed on Douglas's Materia Medica, and I'll tell you why. Because I have, under my preferences, just for whatever reason, I made that my default reference library book. That's why it landed on Douglas's first. All right, and so I won't show you that right now, how to do this default, because with the update, that's changing a lot. So we're not going to show that. But to get back to that reference library, you can see right now I'm in user preferences, but all you have to do is click on this open book icon, reference library icon, to get yourself right back to where you were going to research. You were going to research the arsenicum. And does anyone have any questions? Because I think I've covered the case as far as I really had planned to cover it.
So one question is, can you explain what the different colors mean?
Sure.
And
on the graph?
Yes, I'm assuming that that's on the graph. Then there are two questions, which is one is about why is it not possible to save in one clipboard multiple searches from the reference library? And then the other question, actually the answer is the same to both questions. The second question is, how can we copy the clipboard to the patient's case, like a paper case or a Word document, I assume?
Right. Yeah, those are things we've shown in, well, let me address first the colors. So the different colors mean various grades, and this is changing in the updates. So don't get too attached to these colors because they will be changing. But let me show you right now we're in waffle graph, which does not have numbers. You can turn on numbered graph to get familiar with what the grades are per color. This very light blue is 1 currently. This purple is 2. This, however you want to call this is 3. The black is 4. You guys all know what that means, I believe. That just means that arsenicum is a grade 1 in this dust rubric. Lycopodium's a 2 in it, calcarea's a 3 in it, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what the colors mean. These colors here, the kingdom colors, you've got your, let's say you wanted to filter for all animals. Red, this red square represents that this is an animal remedy. You can hit the paw print up here to filter for all that you want to. Perhaps you have looked at your case in such a way and you believe strongly that you need an animal remedy. You can eliminate all the other remedies and just look at the animal remedies by clicking on this paw print. That's a quick filter. If you wanted to dive deeper into specific categories of animals, you would come over here and do something with the kingdoms. All right. So then the other question was, why can't you put multiple reference library searches on one clipboard? You're right. Currently, you can only do one. With the update, you'll be able to do. You'll be able to put multiple reference library query searches on a clipboard once we update. I'll show you super quickly. I'm going to go back to global search. Back to global search here. It's thinking. There we go. Oh, let me close the clipboard. That helps. All right, so we're back in global search. We've only talked about repertories, I have currently. But as you know, our program searches in both repertories and reference library at the same time. That's how I have my program set up, because both of these are checked. And so that means, again, we've only been in the repertory tab, but you can also choose to go look at the reference library result. This is my reference library result for dust, and it's query dust. In order to get this, all these 771 remedies and this many references is the result. In order to get this entire thing onto my clipboard, I would simply come over here to this clipboard on the right. Do you see where my mouse is, hopefully? I give that a click. All right. And there you see, it's going to show up on this clipboard now. I'm opening up my clipboard again. All right. Oh my. All right, there. I had to think for a minute. And where is my, I know it's here. I saw it, add to it. I did see it go on. Oh, there it is at the very bottom. Dust. Here it is, 766 dust. This is the query from the reference library. The 766 remedies, dust is the query. So that one query did go on this clipboard. And so right now you can only put one reference library query on a clipboard, but that's going to change, because a lot of people who solve their cases only in reference works like to throw a lot of queries onto one clipboard. And so we heard your request, and we changed the program to accommodate that. And that will be coming in the next update. The other thing you want to know is how to save a clipboard. Yes, we can certainly do that real fast. So up here in patient management, first of all, you have to have a patient open to put a clipboard in. So I'm going to go view my patients, and or you can create a new patient, whichever you want to do. Let me close this clipboard. Okay, or just, okay, so here we are. So I'll pretend like this is somebody, or do you want me to show, would it be better if I show a new person actually?
Either
way. Okay.
Yeah.
So
You're at 50 minutes past the hour.
Yeah. So let me
No rush, but I just wanted
Okay.
to let you know.
Yeah, thanks. I'm gonna have to plug in my computer too, I think, soon. Okay, so test case, highlighted this. I'm gonna hit view. I'm gonna plug in my computer while the computer's thinking, because I'm getting low.
Yeah, and there is a couple of questions about the update, and I think everyone knows we have been mentioning it on the training, but there is a new update on the way. Lucy and I, in fact, have been beta testing it, and I, for one, am very excited. There are all the things that we've been talking about, being able to save your graph or copy and paste things to a Word file. A lot less. Somebody just said that if they don't close the clipboard and go into another search, their program might crash, and that doesn't happen anymore. And there's lots of little improvements that make working within the program real fun. At least I feel that. And Lucy just gave me an assignment today to do a 2-minute video of all the new cool things in the update. So I'm going to be working on that this afternoon.
Yes, that video will be part of the Joint American Homeopathic Conference booth that we're setting up.
Yes.
All right, so here we are. We're in this patient, the test patient that I created. Simply, I'm going to hit save. You see that you have a choice here. You can choose any one of these clipboards, whichever one. Let's say that the clipboard that we've been working on is the one I want to save. So I'm going to save it. That's how you do it. So I should probably go ahead and let Rupali start her case because I feel like I've taken up a lot of time, more time than I meant to. And Rupali has a nice case to show you too. And I think she's going to go more in detail about how to use the global search for her case as well. Am I right, Rupali?
Yes, I think so. I have two cases. I'm not sure I have time for
Let me get
both.
out of sharing. Okay,
Oh,
here
no,
we are.
that's fine. And there's tons of questions that came in the last couple of minutes.
Okay.
So
Oh, okay.
let's see. So when is the update coming? Jennifer is asking again. We think very soon. We are debugging at the moment. We are beta testing. So Lucy and I started a few weeks ago beta testing, but now we are expanding the pool of beta testers. And the objective obviously is to get as many bugs out into the open because everybody uses the program differently. So they're going to, then kind of beat around the bushes in different parts of the program, depending on what
Right.
their individual unique usage is.
Right.
So that's what we're all doing at the moment. And we hope to wrap it up. But it's hard with development to give an exact answer. And we hesitate to do that because we got bitten the last time. So just bear with us, but I'm really excited, honestly. And since I've been beta testing, it's been, I was telling Lucy this right before the webinar, it's been harder to kind of switch back and forth because you get used to the ease and the new features that come with the update. And then, you have to go back to the older version and it's harder. So I'm personally excited.
Me too.
Um,
A lot of fun. It looks nice and it's got a lot of features that I think are going to make people very happy.
so
Bringing back some of the older features that, yeah.
can we, I'm just going to look at the questions here. Can you show again how to find the remedy in references from the rubrics? Not sure, Josiane, what you mean. So could you rewrite that question? And then Nita is saying, could you please repeat again how to choose few remedies from the list of remedies? Oh, I see. You know how you limited the repertory graph to the 3 remedies that you were interested in.
Should I do?
Yes, I think that's what both these questions are about.
You want me to, or do you want to get into your, I mean, I'm happy to do it because I've got
Yeah.
that clipboard.
Okay.
Sure,
I don't know if I'll have to rush through the case.
I know.
Um,
And some of that information I thought we'd shown on a different, but that's fine. Let me get back into SH. Oh, I'm in it. Okay. Let me go back to my clipboard. Let me show
So
you.
how will we see the video if we are not at the conference? Peggy, we are doing a NCH sponsored session on, I think, so don't hold us to it, but we're still finalizing the details, but on the Saturday evening after the conference ends, I think from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern. And we are hoping that's exactly a month from now, and we're hoping to be able to unveil the update at that 1 hour session. So that's fingers crossed. And then the other question that Peggy, can you put that saved clipboard back in the program and get the graph again? Yes, that is possible. Yes, and Josiane clarified her question, which is that same, how do we limit it to the 3 remedies? Yes, so you get updates. Anybody who has an SHS now gets the new update automatically. There will be a little process to download the update, but you don't have to pay anything for it or make any special arrangements or get in touch with us. We'll send directions out to everyone on how to get the new update. Jennifer's asking conference. The Joint American Homeopathic Conference in the last week of April is what we're talking about. Okay. Why, since you did it, why don't you do that? And then I'll see if I can rush through my case.
Okay. Yeah, I'm happy to show you that again. So let's say you want to look at a few remedies side by side. You do that through this filter here in the clipboard. So that you open it up and you have 2 choices here, kingdom or remedy. If you're looking to put your remedies side by side, you have to go find them. And so to do that, just whichever ones you're interested in, let's say phosphorus, and I put it in the type to search and I hit return and all the phosphorus choices come up and I just find the phosphorus one that I want down here and check it. Check, do a little check for me. I swear my computer's overheating or something. I'm charging it right now. There it is. There it is. There it went. All right. And so then I'm going to find the other remedy that I want to put side by side by Xing out phosphorus from the type to search window. Let's say you want to put Nux vomica with it. Nux vomica, you just type that in the type to search, hit return, find that, check it. And then, so yeah, these are some of the things we're working out with the update. It's being a little slow to check. There you go. All right. And then once you get all the remedies that you want to see side by side, that's when you hit apply. Don't hit apply until you have all the remedies selected. I'm going to hit apply. And now there you see 2 side by side. And that's how we did it. And you can tell that a filter is on because this icon is red. You can remove it by clicking that. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'll let Roopali share her case because it's very interesting. We do want to be able to cover another case. By the way, unfortunately, we do have another meeting at 11:30 today. So we are going to have to wrap up at 11:30, but maybe we can do this again at another training if, let us know your feedback if you think this is helpful.
Yeah, if you thought the case sort of, going through a case was much more helpful, then let us know. And then the next time, all of the cases that we couldn't get to today, we can always do them the next time.
Yeah, we had more than just the one each prepared, but we weren't sure how many we'd be able to get to anyway. So Roopali will share her screen now and cover her case.
Okay. Okay, so let me.
I see a question. Is it possible to work on SHS if the internet is down? Yes, you do not have to be online to work cases, to work on SHS. It's verified once per month on the internet for our security, but you can be offline except to do that.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. So everybody can see my screen. Lucy, one other thing, Suveen was calling, so I don't know if you want to just get in touch with her and see.
Okay, I'm going to mute myself real fast and I'll call her.
Okay. So I have 2 cases. One is a more straightforward case. Let me see. Let me show you. It is a longer case. So you see, this is what somebody had sent. Now, this is a much longer case. There's like a lot of information here and a lot of symptoms. And, the one thing that I'd like to say is, in general, it's a straightforward case. But when you have a lot of information, it's very hard. First of all, you can't repertorize or analyze all of it. And it's really important when you have a case to pick the most important and the most characteristic bits. So you have something that's manageable. And then also you're only looking at the most important parts. You're not trying to put everything into the case analysis, because the software is really a tool. It expresses, or it will help you do what you think and what you think is important. It can't tell you what to do. You have to tell the software what to do. And so when you pick the most characteristic bits, that's what is, and of course, peculiar and rare and individualizing symptoms, those are the most important. And then the chances of getting to the right remedy are much higher. And all this, I'm just, repeating something that we all know about homeopathy. So so I looked at the whole write-up, and then, I tried to distill it down to a 1-page. And so there are some mentals, some physicals, generals, some modalities. And then I repertorized. And this is a more straightforward case. It would be similar to what Lucy just did. And then there is a case that is more, it's a big idea case. It's not really amenable to repertorizing as well, but I want to show you it. And so this, maybe because we don't have that much time, I don't know. I'd like to hear what people want to do. This is more of a big idea case, and you have to have some clinical experience and understand what this child, is and what her case is, and how can you then hone in. And I think also it's important to go back to the patient and ask some more questions, but this would be a very different kind of analysis than this case A, which is more of a straightforward repertorization analysis. And so I don't know if you want to just put something in the chat, and let me know what you guys would like, then we could do it accordingly. Lucy, if you're available, can you let me know what people are saying in the chat? Let's see here. Case B, do A. Of course, I like big idea, big idea, big idea. Okay, so you know what? Since Lucy already did like a more repertorization sort of case, we'll go with case B. And this is also how I would approach the case. So there is definitely more of my own homeopathic peculiarities in the way that I'm going to look at this case. So if you guys have feedback, let me know. But this is not about the program. This is on me. So this is a case of a little girl, 6 years old. She's been under treatment for the last 6 months. And the case is really that she gets nightmares every month. And then about a week after the nightmares, she gets a fever. And initially last fall, it used to be a low grade to a medium grade fever. Now the fever is getting higher. There was no real abnormality in the pregnancy. There isn't really a huge history of the mother's pregnancy here, but it says it was desirable. The first symptoms started around 18 months, but there was also, I think for me, it started also about, she thinks that the child may have gone through some stress because around 1 year of age, she tried to sleep train her by leaving her alone in the room and letting her cry it out. And then after that, the nightmares started, and the nightmares come every month, and a week later you get a fever. The other thing is that there are some peculiar symptoms during the fever. There's constipation. She desires company. I mean, she's a little girl. She sleeps a lot. And then there are some other mind and symptoms about it. So the nightmares are important. They are generally related to getting lost or about losing her parents. And to me, this is important. The other thing that to me was important was this, because, and the reason is because, my mind makes a connection. But, the child was left alone to cry it out in the room. And then the nightmares she's getting now are also about being lost, alone. So she's losing her parents, and then she's also, alone, lost in a park or a forest. There are some typical symptoms on the fevers, and the homeopath who sent the case in has tried to repertorize for the fevers, and in the middle of a fever has given several acute remedies for the fever. The other thing is that she has an intense fear of all animals. There was an incident where she refused to come out of she went to meet some friends and refused to come out of the car because they had a dog. And the fear of all animals is quite extreme. Then we come to the mind symptoms. There was a fear of strangers. This is not hugely peculiar for infants and toddlers. She has a difficult time to calm down. Consolation helps. She likes snuggling. And she's very clingy to both parents, but much more to the mother. And this, to me, also goes back a little bit, to these things here. Getting lost, being alone, and being left alone. So there is some, there's some overlap there. And then she's the leader. She can't be manipulated. When she's upset, she has a tantrum, but this is normal. But what is important to me is here, this kind of roaring sound that she makes. She stands up for herself. She knows what she wants. So she's definitely, these characteristics tell me that she has a dominant personality, and she stands up. She's mature for her age. And I asked the homeopath what manipulative means, and she meant that she can go after what she wants, and she's not afraid to go after what she wants. She makes sure she gets what she wants. So when I look at these things, we can definitely repertorize some of these things. The most important things for me definitely are this, frightful dreams, this fear of being alone, this fear of animals, and this kind of snuggling, clinging child, which goes back to the fear of being alone, and then being a leader in her. So, we can easily repertorize so it's about studying the case before you even jump into the program. But the way that I would look at this would be to go back in here, and probably, so somebody asked why complete 2018, why not another complete or another? I think it goes back to preference. You can choose whatever repertory you're comfortable with. Most people have a standard repertory. So my cross references are turned on, and I will probably turn that off. And I beg your pardon, but there's grass cutting going on outside. So I will just bear with me with the noise. So when we come to mind, a quick way to navigate is just to go to dreams, and I'm typing DRE on my clipboard, DREA actually, and it comes to dreams. And I double click, and then I'm going to go to frightful. I think that might work. Yes, so we get frightful. And so this is really a huge rubric, but I've gone through the sub-rubrics and nothing really fits. And I don't really like putting such huge rubrics on my clipboard, but I'm going to put it in because none of the sub-rubrics are very helpful in this case. And the other reason I might not put a sub-rubric is if it has very few remedies, and anything less than 25 for me is actually very few, unless it's a very, very specific, unique rubric and points exactly to the remedy. The other dream rubric I'd like to put is probably alone. And so you can either drag and drop this into your clipboard, or you can hit enter. I usually prefer hitting enter or return to put that in. We can also put something about dominating, but let's see. I don't think that might be a good rubric here. So I'm going to leave the leadership qualities for now, and I'm going to try and see if we can do some of the fever rubrics also to put in, because there are strong fever rubrics. There's stomach pain, there's headache sometimes, there's throat pain only for the first day. And I tried to look this up, but this was kind of difficult. I think there was a rubric, but it was a very tiny rubric. And there's constipation. These are all straightforward rubrics, but and it's easy to put them in. So I would go to, let's say, stomach, and then I would type pain, and I would double click, and then I would type fever to see if there are any fever rubrics, and there are. And there is a rubric that says stomach pain, fever during. So I'm going to choose that. We can also look for rectum constipation. And when, I'm just typing the first 3-4 letters, whatever, my fingers want to do. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 5. And I double click, and then I go fever during. And so I add that. And then let's see, throat pain, which was occasional, but we can, look at it. So here's throat pain. And then fever. And we can also try combining these, because these are all concomitants that she has during the fever. The other thing I try to look at is, because she gets the fever every month, and usually after her nightmares. So we can also look at, fever, heat. I wouldn't really, because, I could do fever, heat, and maybe look for periodic, and there is periodic right here. There's also month every. So, it's only 4 remedies, and I don't even know if it would be helpful, but, we can put it in. And I think the other one that I liked, yes, was to go back to mind and do dreams. And there were dreams of being lost. So, we can take a look at the clipboard. And the first remedy that comes up is sepia. And I know the homeopath tried sepia. And then, of course, there's a bunch of polycress, which, almost always happens. So the one thing that I like, so this is something now that I would either go back to the patient with, or in my mind, when I look at some of these characteristics and put them all together, this fear of, being abandoned or left alone, getting lost, fever, this fear of animals, snuggling, clinging child, being a leader. And I know I haven't repertorized for this, but, to me, all of these together suggest an animal remedy. And even more than an animal remedy, if you put in the factor of the fact that her nightmares started after she was sleep trained and left alone, her dreams are all about being left alone. And those are the ones that, then give rise to the fever that comes afterwards. She has an extreme fear of animals, and she loves snuggling and is clinging. You could even look at a subgrouping within animals and say, maybe you want to look for a grouping that has those kinds of characteristics. But at the very least, I would try and limit my repertorization to only animal remedies, and see what comes up. And so to me, there's not much of a snake quality or an apis or an insect quality. But further down, you start to see some lac remedies. And to me, I would really want to look at what sorts of mammal remedies come up. To me, this feels like a mammal case. And if any of the homeopaths who are attending today are working in the realm of groupings or big ideas or kingdoms, then this would be something to look at to see, do you see the animal quality in this case? And if you do, then do you see the mammal quality? But this is the way I would approach it. And what Lucy did here was to limit it to the remedies that you're thinking of, this case might center around, but you could also just limit it to a grouping. So right now it's limited to just animals. And there's different groups of animals coming up. But I can remove this filter from here, which is just a kingdom filter. And I can go to the filter over onto the left side, which is a much more sophisticated filter. And you can choose to filter through any kind of groupings. Lucy had filtered her case just for 3 remedies, but what I can do over here is to go, so there's 2 ways. If I really wanted to look at only mammal remedies, the lacs, there's 2 ways to do it. One is to go to the top icon here, which is the paw print, which is for animals. And then when you do that, you would have to scroll down. And then you would need to know a little bit of your taxonomy to kind of know how to go and find mammalia, which is what we're looking for. The other way is, if you know it's mammals, is to go to the A to Z button at the bottom, right here, and then just type M-A-M, let's say, and oh, sorry, it says I'm still in the mammal button. So I have to go here, and then it comes up automatically when you type MAMM, and then you can select that and hit apply. And then you can see the remedies that come up that are just in the mammal, in the mammal grouping. And the remedies that I would be interested in would be, given that she has a lot of very dominant characteristics and leadership qualities, I would probably look at some of those remedies in greater detail. You could always, go into some of these remedies, like I'm thinking of lac lupinum or lac leoninum. You would need to get maybe some more questions asked, but you could definitely look at, the remedy in the reference library. And there's a lot of options here to read about the remedy. You could even go into different sections in the reversed. And I do like doing this, is to go into the reversed and look at, and this is also a good way to study the remedy, is the mind symptoms of lac leo, for example. You could even do, and the other thing I thought of is a very short way to look at this case would be to see what you could do with global search. And so there's not much you can do, but the most important thing for me in this case was, the way that I would characterize it was ailments from abandonment. And so it would be interesting to see let's
Yes,
just,
Ruopali and one of the panelists in the chat, one of the attendees also mentioned fear of abandonment. Loretta, what about fear
oh,
of
she did. Okay. Okay,
abandonment?
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
somebody else mentioned solanaceae, but I'm also coming on just to give you like a 5-minute warning because.
yes, yes. And I'm going to wind
Okay.
up.
All right. Thanks.
But I just typed ailments within 2 words of abandonment. And I don't know if the filter is still on, but I don't think it is. But if you look at ailments from abandonment, there's only one remedy that comes up, which is lac lupinum, interestingly. And that was also something, actually, if I go back into our repertorized case, and that I then filtered for mammals, lac lupinum is the #1 remedy that comes up. So actually, I'm looking at the case 2 different ways. One is through actual rubrics that I've pulled up from the symptoms in the case. But the other way is also, what is this whole case all about? And to me, it's really about ailments from abandonment stemming all the way from her sleep training. And so if you just put that into the global search, interestingly, the result is a mammal, and I have not filtered over here. You see the red button is not on. So I have not filtered, but the one remedy that comes up for ailments from abandonment is lac lupinum, which is a mammal remedy. The other thing I thought of trying to do was the specific ailment now that she's getting from abandonment is fever. And so I can just expand that search and say, give me all the remedies that have ailments from abandonment as well as fever. And I'm going to do a separate search for that. And you see, now there is no repertory result because it is too complex of a search, and there are no rubrics that have both of those aspects. So I go to reference library, and there's only one remedy that has ailments from abandonment as well as fever. And interestingly, it's also lac lupinum. And you can see that references both to ailments from abandonment and fever occur in these books. So in the reversed Van Zandvoort, complete repertory, in Patricia Hatherley's work, in, I think that's Nancy Herrick and Murphy, and also in the Vital Quest materials. So there are, but there are 44 references, but 5 different books that talk about, and of course, this is the 2005, 17, 18, 19. So maybe 8 or 9 references that have lac lupinum as the only remedy that has ailments from abandonment and also fever. So that's another interesting way to look at the case and approach it in more of a classic repertorization, but then bringing some of your understanding of kingdoms and groupings into it, and then maybe just distilling the case down to 2 or 3 things and looking at global search as an analysis tool that could help you find the few remedies that are pertinent to your case when you distill it down to 2 or 3 things. So I think I'm going to stop here. And if there are questions, so this is not a classic traditional case. And so I thought it would be good to juxtapose against the kind of case that Lucy did. But, it depends on how you choose to practice. And also, it also completely depends on the kind of patient that walks in through the door. Some patients will give you a straightforward rubric symptoms classic case. And with other patients, you are looking at big ideas and kingdoms. And maybe with another patient, you're looking at sensation. And the 4th patient might be a 10M potency and go straight into their source. So the program caters to all of those approaches and helps you analyze and study what would be the right choice in each case. So questions?
You're getting a lot of words of appreciation.
Oh, okay.
Somebody asked about how do you put the two and the remedy in the global search. It's something that we did cover on another video. Unfortunately, we have another meeting we have to start in Zoom in like 1 minute. We're so sorry to have to cut this
Oh
short.
yeah, I mean, but that's a quick, you just
Yeah.
type the letter 2, or I'll quickly show you. Sorry, here, there are parameters here to use in your search. So you can say next to, within 2, 3, 4, 5 words in the same sentence, paragraph, section, or remedy. And you can use keyboard shortcuts for all of them as well. So for the numbers, you can just type the number. And for the sentence, paragraph, section, remedy, you use your space bar. Thank you. I think I should wind up, right, Lucy?
Yes,
Okay, well, thank you so much for
comments.
attending. We love you all and for coming. And we're really excited about the update, and we're hoping to be able to show it to you soon, most likely at the Joint American Homeopathic Conference free sponsored webinar. But if not, the next training after that, I think we'll definitely be ready to show you something. And we'll come back with some of the cases that we couldn't cover today. Write to us directly and let us know if you like this sort of case format, or if you prefer to, maybe do more of a tutorial type thing, or if you just come with questions and we answer questions.
Thanks so much, everyone. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay, everybody, take care and have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye-bye.